Hey, Chris, we're learning more again about this shooter. His name is 29-year-old. He's 29 years old. His name is Gavin Long. It's very disturbing. I want you to take a listen to a video post. It's on YouTube. It's from July 10th. Look at this.
Victims fighting their bullies. 100% have been successful through fighting back, through bloodshed. 0 have been successful just over simply protesting. It has never worked and it never will. You gotta fight back. That's the only way a bully knows to quit. He doesn't know words. He can't understand words, I promise you. He doesn't understand protests. If y'all want to keep protesting, do that. But for the serious ones, the real ones, the alpha ones, we know what it's gonna take. It's only fighting back or money.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Thank you very much, Anderson. Our breaking news tonight: 3 police officers shot to death in Baton Rouge as thousands of GOP party faithful arrived right here in Cleveland, Ohio, amid very tight security. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. The fallen officers identified tonight as Matthew Gerald, Montrell Jackson, and Brad Garafola. The gunman, Gavin Long, a 29-year-old black man from Kansas City, Missouri, a former Marine who served in Iraq, dead in the shootout. The chaos caught on dispatch audio.
Oh, shot fired, officer down, shot fired, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fired over your line.
We're finding out about the gunman, apparently belonging to several conspiracy groups, we are told, including a black sovereign citizens group that rejects government authority. Chillingly, he killed the officers on his birthday. And President Barack Obama saying attacks on police have happened far too often, tells America this.
And we as a nation have to be loud and clear that nothing justifies violence against law enforcement.
Today's deadly attack coming in a city, it is my hometown of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that's still reeling over the fatal police shooting of Alton Sterling. His aunt making this heartbreaking plea.
Stop this killing! Stop this killing! Stop this killing!
We're going to get to CNN's Chris Cuomo. He is live for us in Baton Rouge. He has been following this story for us this evening. So, Chris, I want to start with what can you tell us about this investigation tonight on the ground there in Baton Rouge?
Well, very active both here in Baton Rouge, Don, in your hometown, and also back in Kansas City, because that's where the murderer came from. The authorities now believe that he rented a car after the Dallas police shootings and drove from Kansas City to Dallas and then evidently on here to Baton Rouge. They also believe he was not alone here in Baton Rouge. And that doesn't mean that there were co-conspirators involved here, but police are looking into other individuals to find out what they may have known about this murderer's plans and what brought him here, and if he had any contact with any other types of organizations. But as you've already reported, this was a man with a long and sordid past. Unfortunately, he also had infantry training while in the Marines, which is why he was so capable with the weapon, hitting 6 different officers. 3 right now also injured, in addition to those who lost their lives. 1 has non-critical injuries, 2 are still in critical condition. All of this started at 8:40 a.m. local time with a 911 call of reports of a man walking down the street with a long gun. It turned out to be an AR-style semi-automatic rifle. Now, the authorities are looking down at whether or not that was a planted call by this man or someone he knew, or it was just a concerned citizen who saw somebody with a long gun walking down the street dressed for battle, which this man certainly was. When the authorities showed up on the scene, he opened fire. We know the results there, but within 10 minutes, it was over. Authorities responding with a second wave and emergency medical services, taking out the shooter and treating those hurt at the scene, Don.
Chris, I have to tell you, as we were looking at some of the video earlier, as you were speaking, it was aerials of his home in Missouri. Obviously, they are checking the home and trying to find out everything they can about this man. Do we know anything more about him possibly luring officers there? They're not sharing that information. They're working on a couple of different scenarios, correct?
I've been warned off the word ambush. They don't know. It could have been a 911 call from a concerned citizen. Obviously, they're working anybody who knew him to see whether or not there was a plan or anything else coordinated. But the early reports, not unlike what happened in Dallas, early reports of multiple shooters could easily be explained by the echo effect of this weapon if people aren't used to hearing it. Right now, authorities do believe that they have the man responsible for the murders of these police, but there are a lot of other questions around it. They're not going to have to look very far to figure out where this guy's motive came for, Don. He had a lot of outspoken statements that directed hatred towards police and the government in general.
Chris, one of the officers killed today, his name is Montrell Jackson. He posted this emotional note on Facebook, and I just want to read part of it for you. He says, "I'm tired physically and emotionally, disappointed in some family, friends, and officers for some reckless comments. But hey, what's in your heart is in your heart. I still love you all because hate takes too much energy, but I definitely won't be looking at you the same. Thank you to everyone that has reached out to me or my wife, and it was needed, much needed. Needed and much appreciated. I swear to God, I love this city, but I wonder if this city loves me. In uniform, I get nasty, hateful looks, and out of uniform, some consider me a threat. I've experienced so much in my short life, and these last 3 days have tested me to the core. When people you know begin to question your integrity, you realize they don't really know you at all. Look at my actions. They speak loud and clear. Finally, I personally want to send prayers to everyone directly affected by this tragedy. These are trying times. Please don't hate or infect your heart. This city must and will get better. I'm working in these streets. So many protesters, officers, friends, family, whoever. If you see me and you need a hug or want to say a prayer, I got you." I mean, it's just heartbreaking, Chris. I know that's a long post there, but what does this say to you about how divided we are right now?
Well, I think that you can look at it different ways, Don, and I think if anything, it wasn't long enough. We need so much more of the type of compassion and the empathy that's expressed by Officer Jackson than what we're hearing today in so many different sectors of society that want to point out the obvious problems or problems that should be obvious. I think that what he speaks to there that people should really listen to is not just his desire to overcome the hatred and negativity surrounding him, but also his understanding of one of the most difficult situations in our society today. A police officer who's also an African-American male, and he felt the heat in and out of uniform, and yet where it took him, Don, wasn't to a place of rejection, but of acceptance and of compassion of that problem. And no matter where you and I have been around this country, we see the problems. We also always see what the solution is. It's people who want to see past the hate and towards solutions, and that's in short supply. Montrell Jackson had it in big doses.
Agreed. Hey, Chris, we're learning more again about this shooter. His name is 29-year-old. He's 29 years old. His name is Gavin Long. It's very disturbing. I want you to take a listen to a video post. It's on YouTube. It's from July 10th. Look at this.
Victims fighting their bullies 100% have been successful through fighting back, through bloodshed. 0 have been successful just over simply protesting. It has never worked, and it never will. You gotta fight back. That's the only way a bully knows to quit. He doesn't know words. He can't understand words, I promise you. He doesn't understand protests. If y'all want to keep protesting, do that. But for the serious ones, the real ones, the alpha ones, we know what it's going to take. It's only fighting back or money.
Now, Chris, it has been said that he posted this on July 10th. He recorded it, he said, in Dallas, Texas. And we know that he rented a car in Kansas City, Missouri. Do you know the timeline between Dallas and Missouri and then Baton Rouge? What can you tell us about that?
Authorities are piecing it together. Certainly, he left Kansas City before the Dallas shootings, and they have reason to believe he was in Dallas at or near the time of the Dallas shootings. He posted a video saying that he was in Dallas and expressing some kind of spiritual connection to what brought him there. And then obviously he continued on to here. When and with whom, they're actively investigating. But Don, I think that, while it bothers me to give this guy any attention for what his motivation was, I do think it's helpful to see the stark contrast between what was in Jackson's head and heart and what was in this murderer's head and heart. This man wasn't just wrong about history and the facts, but also about humanity. But he was completely right about what kind of individual succumbs to violence. It's an individual like him. Somebody who is divorced from humanity, someone who doesn't see reason anymore, someone who does believe that violence begets something other than violence, and they're dead wrong, just like he is tonight. And I think that the contrast of what Montrell Jackson had to say and had to feel about these events and what this murderer had to say just shows how pointless violence is as an answer to any problem.
Yeah, well put, Chris Cuomo. Chris, thank you very much. Chris is going to stand by if we get any more news there from the scene. Chris will bring it to us.